Have you ever said something in a room full of people and no one even reacts? Not a nod, not a glance, just silence, like you weren't even there. It's one of the most quietly humiliating feelings in the world. But here's the truth they never tell you. The difference between being ignored and being respected comes down to how comfortable you are with silence. Let me show you what I mean. I once watched a guy walk into a meeting with nothing but a notebook. No fancy suit, no booming voice, just presence. People leaned in before he even spoke, and when he finally did speak, he paused. Not a long, awkward pause, but a deliberate one, like every word that followed would matter. And you know what happened? Everyone stopped talking. Every single person. It was like they gave him authority without him asking for it. And I realized right there, respect isn't about volume. It's about control. And nothing gives you control like the pause. Lesson number 1. The power of pause equals the illusion of control. When you pause before speaking, you flip the social script. Most people rush their words trying to fill silence, afraid of judgment. But pausing signals certainty. It tells people, I'm not chasing your attention. You're already giving it to me. That kind of energy shifts the room. It forces people to lean in and listen, not because you demanded respect, but because you owned it. Lesson number 2. The pause hijacks their brain. Psych trick. Here's where psychology kicks in. When you pause after a statement, their brain rushes to fill in meaning. Say, I wouldn't trust him with that decision. Pause. They start imagining why. You didn't need to say anything else. They're now doing the work for you. This ties directly into what Daniel Kahneman explains in Thinking Fast and Slow. He says, our brain has 2 systems. System 1, which is fast, emotional, and automatic, and System 2, which is slow, logical, and effortful. The pause forces people to switch to System 2. They slow down and pay attention. Because now, you're not just making noise. You're making them think. And people remember the ideas they had to work for. The pause becomes a highlighter, a psychological trigger, a weapon. It's what the best negotiators, trial lawyers, and confident leaders use daily. They don't just speak, they manipulate silence. Lesson number 3. It's not just speech. It's body language too. When you combine the pause with stillness, strong eye contact, relaxed shoulders, no nervous fidgeting, you trigger what's called dominance cues. In social psychology, this taps into primal instincts. You're perceived as the alpha in the room, and suddenly, the same people who once ignored you are now watching your every move. It's subtle, but powerful. Lesson number 4. The pause makes you emotionally dangerous. In a good way. Most people wear their emotions on their sleeves. You say something sharp, they flinch. You challenge them, they scramble to defend. They're easy to read, and even easier to control. But when you pause before reacting, even when you're insulted, challenged, or disrespected, you become unreadable. And that's terrifying to people who try to dominate conversations. You're not just calm, you're calculated. You're signaling, I don't respond on your terms, I respond on mine. That pause is power. It creates psychological pressure. They start wondering, what's he thinking? Did I go too far? Why isn't he flinching? That moment of silence flips the script. You go from being predictable to commanding, from being reactive to being in control. And people start treating you with a different kind of respect, not because you raised your voice, but because you didn't have to. So here's what I want you to try. The next time you walk into a room, don't just fill space with noise. Own your silence. Pause before you speak. Because when you pause, you signal strength, you command attention, and you start getting the respect you've always deserved. If you found this helpful, don't just keep it to yourself. Pause. Then hit that like button, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs to stop being overlooked.